Hello everyone, in this video we are going to learn about Accounting Standard 12, Accounting for Government Grants. All concepts and practice manual questions which are there in Accounting Standard 12 will be covered in this video. Accounting Standard 12, Accounting for Government Grants. In this accounting standard, first of all we have to understand what is government means. Government means central, state or local government, or it may be national or international body. For example, World Health Organization. It is an international body. All these bodies will come under government meaning. Next is about grants. What is grant means? Grant means assistance in cash or in kind. Here assistance means help, either in the way of cash or in kind. Here in kind means goods or services other than cash for a specified purpose which can be valued. That means such grant should be for a specified purpose and there should be a value for such grant. Any grant received from any of these governments for a specified purpose which is having some value, then we can say it is a government grant. Accounting means recognition of government grants in books of accounts. That is about government grants. Meaning, government grants are recognized in financial statements if following conditions are satisfied. Only if both of these conditions are satisfied, then only we have to recognize government grants in books of accounts. First condition is condition relating to compliance for grant has been satisfied. While applying for government grant, we have to follow all the compliances relating to such grant. Second condition, there should be a certainty about the collection of grant. After application for government grant, there should be some certainty about the collection of grant. If these both conditions are satisfied, then only we have to recognize government grant in books of accounts. Next is type or treatment of grant. First type is grant for meeting expenses or income grant. If grant received is in the nature of meeting expenses or in the revenue nature or income grant, it should be credited to P&L account. Here we have to pass the entry bank account debtor to P&L account at the time of receipt of grant. Second type, grant for depreciable fixed assets. Here we have two methods. Method 1, gross method. Method 2, net method. In gross method, grants are credited to deferred grant account and amortized to P&L account in the ratio of depreciation. In this method, we have to pass the entry bank account debtor to deferred grant account. Later on, we have to amortize to P&L account in the ratio of depreciation. In case of net method, grants are credited to fixed assets account. That means we have to capitalize. Depreciation is calculated on net value. That is about net method. Next type is non-monetary grants, grant for non-depreciable assets or grants in kind. If grant received is in the nature of these type, then such grants are credited to capital reserve account. Use nominal value if grant is in kind. If it is in kind, we have to use nominal value. Next is promoter's contribution or backward area development grant. If grant received is in the nature of promoter's contribution or backward area development grant, then we have to credit such grant to capital reserve account. With this example, we can understand Accounting Standard 12 in a good way. At the time of receipt of grant, what is the entry we have to pass? What is the account we have to debit? We have to debit bank account or else in kind. It is any good or service. Now we know what to debit. Now we have to check which account we have to credit. Here we have to check Accounting Standard 12. What we have to credit? This is about Accounting Standard 12. For this purpose only we are studying Accounting Standard 12. Grant can be recorded only if both the conditions are satisfied. we have studied here. Condition relating to compliance for grant has been satisfied. Second condition is certainty about collection for grant. Only if these two conditions are satisfied, then only we have to recognize in books of account. We can see this example, we'll get more clarity. About any income, if it is doubtful in nature, then we have to treat it as contingent asset. We should not record in income. We should not record it as income, because what prudence concept is saying, we have to recognize profits only when we are very certain about the collection or realization of income. Then only we have to recognize as per prudence concept. About realization, there should be a certainty. Certainty about realization, then only we have to recognize income. We can say this is first stage. In second stage, once it is confirmed, that means we know about the realization of income. Once it is confirmed, we have to record it as income. That is what accrual concept is saying. In third stage, after recognizing the income in books of accounts, we received the income. At that time, we have to pass the entry bank account debtor to debtor account. If not received, we have to pass entry bad debts account debtor to debtors account. I hope you all understand. Same like this, grant also can be recorded once it is confirmed. Amortization means transfer to P&L account, that we know it. Next concept is about refund of grant. If due to any reason grant is to be refunded, then debit should be given to account which was credited on the receipt of grant. That means at the time of receipt of grant, we pass this entry. For example, bank account debtor to P&L account. In case of income grant, for example, at the time of refund, we have to pass P&L account debtor to bank account. That is what here it is saying. Due to any reason government grant is refunded, then debit should be given to account which was credited on receipt of grant. Which was credited on receipt of grant. If grant had been credited to fixed assets account, in such cases, any difference is recorded in P&L account. If grant has been recorded to fixed assets account, then on its refund, debit will be given to fixed assets account. In this case, initially we have passed bank account debtor to fixed assets account. At the time of refund, we have to pass fixed assets account debtor to bank account. That is what here it is saying. Past depreciation will not be charged. Only future depreciation will be revised. Yes, it is true. Companies cannot pay dividend to its shareholders from grants received. This is very important. Company cannot pay any dividends from grants received. They have to use such grant for the specified purpose only. Next is disclosure requirements. Government grant recognition policy should be disclosed. Policy should be disclosed. If grant has been refunded, reasons for such refund should be disclosed. This is about refund. Income grant received. At the time of received, we pass bank account debtor to P&L account. For refund, we'll pass this P&L account debtor to bank account. Promoters contribution. Initially, we pass capital reserve bank account debtor to capital reserve account. At the time of refund, we'll pass capital reserve account debtor to bank account. What we have debited, credited earlier, we have to pass debit now. Non-monetary grant capital reserve account at R2, furniture account. At the time of receipt of grant, furniture account at R2, capital reserve account. At the time of refund, it is capital reserve account at R2, bank account, or else furniture account. It is non-monetary grant or kind. Under net method, at the time of receipt of grant, we have passed bank account at R2, fixed assets account. At the time of refund, we have to pass fixed assets account at R2, bank account. In gross method, we have passed deferred grant bank account at R2, deferred grant account at the time of receipt of grant. At the time of refund, we have to pass deferred grant account at how much we have to transfer to P&L account every year. Deferred grant transfer to P&L account. Amount of grant to current year depreciation divided by total depreciation. This is the formula to transfer deferred grant value to P&L account every year in the proportion of depreciation. Next, we will see one practical sum. On 1st April 2001, ABC Limited received government grant of 300 lakhs for acquisition of machinery, costing 1500 lakhs. At this point of time, we have to pass the entry bank account debtor to machinery account 300 lakhs. The grant was credited to cost of the asset. The life of the machinery is 5 years. The machinery is depreciated at 20% on WDV basis. The company had to refund the government grant, May 2004. At the time of refund, we have to pass reverse entry, machinery account debtor to bank account. Due to non-fulfillment of certain conditions, how would you deal with the refund of grant? The books of ABC Limited. I will extend this question. We have to calculate a revised value of machinery as on 31st March 2005. To calculate the revised value, there is a shortcut formula. Purchase value minus grant minus depreciation plus refund. We'll get the revised value by following this formula. First, we have to calculate purchase value of the machine. Purchase value of the machine given 1500 lakhs minus grant received get the net asset value 1200 lakhs. After that, we have to calculate the depreciation given at 20% on WDV basis. That means from 2001 till 2004 we have to calculate 20% per year. For 2001 to 2002-3 2002-4 we have to calculate 20% each year. We'll get the balance value of the asset. We have to add back the refund. Get the revised balance of fixed asset. Then from that year we have to calculate 20% on revised value. As on 31st 2005, this is the asset value, revised value. Next, practice manual questions. Question number 29. Explain the treatment of refund of government grants as per accounting standard 12. We see the concept. At the time of income grant received or grant received in the nature of expenses, we have to pass P&L account debtor to bank account, because at the time of receipt of refund we have passed bank account debtor to P&L account. Now we have to debit the account which was credited earlier at the time of receipt of grant. If the grant received is in the nature of promoter's contribution, then we have to pass capital reserve account debtor to bank account, because at the time of receipt of grant we have passed bank account debtor to capital reserve account. If the grant received is in the nature of non-monetary grant or grant in the nature of kind, we have to pass capital reserve account at R2 bank account. In case of fixed assets, if it is net method, at the time of refund we have to pass fixed asset account at R2 bank account at the time of refund. In case of gross method, we have to pass deferred grant account debit, P&L account debit to bank account at the time of refund. Now we'll see the solution. As per para 11 of AS 12, accounting for government grant, explain treatment of government grant in the following situation. When government grant is related to revenue, when deferred credit account has a balance, the amount of government grant refundable will be adjusted against unamortized deferred credit balance remaining in respect of grant. To the extent that the amount of refundable access exceeds any such deferred credit, the amount is immediately charged to P&L account. Where no deferred credit account balance exists, the amount of government grant refundable will be charged to P&L account. When government grant is related to specific fixed assets, then where at the time of receipt the amount of government grant reduced the cost of asset, the amount of government grant refundable will increase the book value of the asset at the time of refund. Where at the time of receipt the amount of government grant was credited to deferred grant account, the amount of government grant refundable will reduce the capital reserve or unamortized balance or deferred grant as appropriate. Where government grant is in the nature of promoter's contribution, the amount of government grant refundable in part or in full or non-fulfillment of specific conditions, the relevant amount or recoverable by the government will be reduced from capital reserve. That is question number 29. Question number 30. Supriya Limited received a grant of 2500 lakhs during the accounting year 2010-11 from government for welfare activities to be carried on by the company for its employees. The grant prescribed conditions for its utilization. However, during the year 2011-12, it was found that the conditions of grants were not complied and the grant had 2500. Now, refund of government grant, they have to show it in their books as extraordinary item as per AS 5. This is important point. Now we'll see the solution. As per para 11 of AS 12, accounting for government grants sometimes become refundable because certain conditions are not fulfilled. The government grant that becomes refundable is treated as extraordinary item as per AS 5. The amount refundable in respect of government grant related to revenue is applied first against unamortized deferred credit remaining in respect of the grant. To the extent that the amount of refundable exceeds in any such deferred credit or where no deferred credit exists in the amount charged immediately to the P&L account. In the present case, the amount or refund of government grant should be shown in P&L statement of the company as an extraordinary item during the year 2011-12. Question number 31. A Limited purchased a machinery of 40 lakhs, useful life 4 years, residual value 8 lakhs. Government grant received is 16 lakhs. Show the journal entry to be passed at the time of refund of grant in the third year and the value of fixed assets. The grant is credited to fixed assets account. The grant is credited to deferred grant account. This is nothing but net method. This is nothing but gross method. A Limited purchased a machinery for 40 lakhs. At the time, they'll pass bank account data to machinery account. At the time of receipt of grant, bank account data to fixed assets account. In case of net method, in case of gross method, bank account data to deferred grant account 16 lakhs. Now at the time of refund, they have to reverse those entries. That means they have to debit the account which was credited earlier at the time of receipt of grant. Now we'll see the solution. As per net method, they have to pass the entry machine account data to bank account at the time of purchase. At the time of receipt of grant, bank account data to machine account 16 lakhs. Then depreciation account data to machine account, that means 40 lakhs minus 16 lakhs grant received minus residual value 8 lakhs divided by useful life. 4 lakhs is the depreciation per year. Then they have to transfer the depreciation to P&L account 4 lakhs per year for 3 years. Now at the time of refund, they have to pass fixed asset account data to bank account 16 lakhs. Question is asking to calculate the value of asset. To calculate the value of asset, shortcut formula is purchase value minus grant minus depreciation plus refund of grant. Purchase value of the machine is 40 lakhs minus grant is 16 lakhs minus depreciation. Here we have to consider 3 years depreciation, because we are assuming that refund, we have done the refund at the end of 3rd year. That's why you have to take 4 lakhs plus 4 lakhs plus 4 lakhs for 3 years. So 12 lakhs for 3 years depreciation plus refund of grant. Value of asset is 28 lakhs. That is about net method. Now we'll see gross method. As per gross method, at the time of purchase of machinery, machine account data to bank account 40 lakhs. At the time of receipt of grant, bank account data to deferred grant account 16 lakhs. We have to calculate depreciation. Here 40 lakhs is the value minus residual value, because here we didn't credit to machine account, we have credited to deferred grant account, so machine value is 40 lakhs only. But in net method, we have credited to fixed assets account, that's why its value will decrease. So 40 lakhs minus 8 lakhs residual value divided by total useful life, that is 8 lakhs per year depreciation. Next, depreciation should be transferred to P&L account each year 8 lakhs. Under gross method, we have to transfer deferred grant value to P&L account in the same proportion of depreciation. For that, there is a formula: value of grant into current year depreciation divided by total depreciation. Grant value received 16 lakhs. Current year depreciation is 8 lakhs. Total depreciation is 32 lakhs. For 4 years, it is 32 lakhs. We calculate like this, we'll get 4 lakhs. We have to transfer 4 lakhs every year from deferred grant value to P&L account. Now at the time of refund, we have to pass deferred grant account data to bank account. In P&L account, 12 lakh balance is there. In deferred grant account, only 4 lakhs is there to bank account. That is question number 31. Question number 32. Santosh Limited has received a grant of 8 crores from the government for setting up a factory in a backward area. Out of this grant, the company distributed dividend 2 crores. As per AS 12, it is not allowed. Also, Santosh Limited received land free of cost from state government, but it has not recorded it all in the books, as no money has been spent. Even grant received is in kind or non-monetary grant free of cost, they have to recognize in their books of accounts at nominal value. In the light of AS 12, examine whether the treatment of both the grants is correct. We'll see the concept. Use nominal value if grant received in kind. They should recognize kind. If it is backward area development grant, the grant is credited to capital reserve account. As per AS 12, accounting for government grants, when government grant is received for a specific purpose, it should be utilized for the same. So the grant received for setting up a factory is not available for distribution of grant. In the second case, even if the company has not spent money for the acquisition of land, it should be recorded in the books of accounts at nominal value. The treatment of both the elements in that the treatment of both the elements in the treatment of grant is incorrect as per AS 12. That is question number 32. Question number 33. Viva Limited received a specific grant of 30 lakhs for acquiring the plant of 150 lakhs during the year 2007-8, having a useful life of 10 years. The grant received was credited to deferred income in the balance sheet. During 2010-11, due to non-compliance of conditions laid down for the grant, the company had to refund the whole grant to the government. Balance in the deferred income on the date was 21 lakhs. And WDV value of plant was 105 lakhs. What should be the treatment of the refund of the grant and the effect of cost of fixed asset and the amount of depreciation to be charged during the year 2010-11 in profit and loss account? What should be the treatment of the refund if grant was deducted from the cost of the plant during 2007-8? Assuming plant account showed the balance of 84 lakhs as on 1/4/2010. Here Viva Limited received a specific grant of 30 lakhs for acquiring plant of 150 lakhs. The grant received was credited to deferred income account. That means it is gross method. In the balance sheet, during 10-11, due to non-compliance of conditions laid down for the grant, the company had to refund the whole grant to the government. Now at the time of refund of grant, we have to pass the entry deferred grant account data to bank account, because at the time of receipt of grant, bank account data to deferred grant account. Now balance in the deferred income on the date was 21 lakhs and WDV value of the plant was given on not 5 lakhs. What should be the treatment of the refund of the grant? We have to pass the entry deferred grant account data, P&L account data to bank account. And second question is asking what is the effect on cost of fixed asset? There is no effect because at the time of receipt of grant, bank account data to deferred grant account, it was not credited to fixed asset account as per gross method, so there is no effect. And the amount of depreciation to be charged during the year 2010-11, that we will calculate. What should be the treatment of the refund if grant was deducted from the cost of plant? That means as per net method, it is asking during 2007-8, assuming plant account showed the balance of 84 lakhs as on 1/4/2010. That means plant value will increase if it was deducted from the cost of plant. Now we will see the solution. Assume grant has been refunded beginning of the year. At the time of refund, we have to pass this entry deferred grant account data, P&L account data to bank account. Deferred grant balance already given in the question 21 lakhs. 21 lakh is given in the question, deferred grant balance. Total grant value is 30 lakhs. So remaining balance is 9 lakhs in P&L account. Next question is effect on value of fixed asset. There is no effect on value of asset because it was credited to deferred grant account. Next question, it is asking the amount of depreciation to be charged during the year 2010-11 in profit and loss account. Depreciation for the year 2010-11. Total value of that asset is 150 lakhs divided by total life 10 years, 15 lakhs per year is the depreciation. Next question, what should be the treatment of the refund if grant was deducted from the cost of the plant? Assuming plant account showed the balance of 84 lakhs as on 1/4/2010. So here at the time of refund we have to pass plant account debtor to bank account 30 lakhs. Oh, effect on value of asset. Fixed asset will be increased by 30 lakhs. That is 84 lakhs plus 30 lakhs on 14 lakhs. So we have to calculate the revised depreciation for 2010-11. It is 114 lakhs divided by remaining life 7 years. Now depreciation for the year 2010-11 is 16.285 lakhs. That is question number 33. Messrs A Limited has set up its business in a designated backward area with an investment of 200 lakhs. The company is eligible for 25% subsidy and has received rupees 50 lakhs from the government. Explain the treatment of the capital subsidy received from the government in the books of the company. As per para 10 of ES 12, accounting for government grants, where the government grants are of the nature of promoter's contribution, that is, they are given with reference to the total investment in an undertaking or by way of contribution towards its total capital outlay. For example, central investments subsidy scheme, and no repayment is ordinarily expected in respect thereof. The grants are treated as capital reserve. Subsidy received by A Limited is in the nature of promoter's contribution. So we have to pass the entry bank account debtor to capital reserve account. Since this grant is given with reference to the total investments in an undertaking by way of contribution towards its capital outlay and no repayment is ordinarily expected in respect thereof. Therefore, this grant should be treated as capital reserve, which can be neither distributed as dividend nor considered as deferred income.